Welcome, respected teacher. I am Deepen Bosu, member of the Expert Committee on School Education Department, Government of West Bengal. And I have with me Mr. Anendu Sengupta, member of the Expert Committee on School Education Department, Government of West Bengal. I would request Mr. Anendu Sengupta, please discuss the holistic development of the student.
Holistic development means all-round development of the learners. By all-round development, we mean development in various areas, as for instance, physical development, cognitive development, social development, emotional development, linguistic development. So, these major areas are developed among the learners. You know that health and physical education emphasizes on physical development, but that is motor-receptive development, but it also develops other areas of learning. That is why we call it the holistic development of the learners.
I would also request you please discuss the curriculum goal of health and physical education in primary school level.
Yes, when we talk about the holistic development, obviously there should be a curriculum for health and physical education, particularly in the primary level. And the curriculum goal of health and physical education is firstly to develop knowledge and understanding level of the students. Secondly, to develop the motor receptive skills of the learners, as well as the social awareness in respect of class, in respect of caste, in respect of gender. And obviously, it also focuses on physical fitness and wellness of the learners. Besides, there is a part of health where the learners are made aware of the various types of diseases, and at the same time the remedial measures that are to be adopted to overcome those diseases. So, these in short are the main curricular goals of health and physical education.
I would also request you please discuss the objective of health and physical education curriculum.
Physical education emphasizes on good health, that is physical fitness. To maintain, develop and of course learn about good health is one of the primary major objectives of health and physical education. And of course, apart from maintaining good health, it also emphasizes on physical fitness, improves on the neuromuscular development of the learners, improves the social relationship of the learners. So, all these are the basic objectives that actually are included in the objectives of health and physical education. By social awareness, we also include say awareness in road safety, awareness in various injuries to sports. So, all these areas are covered in the objectives of health and physical education.
Mr. Anendu Sengupta, please discuss the theme of health and physical education curriculum.
Actually, the themes are required for the various textbooks that the learners of various classes from pre-primary level to class 5, and for which certain themes are actually highlighted, like themes like disaster management, road safety, good habits, value education, social security, local indigenous games, then project based education, disaster management. Now, you know that particularly in this pandemic situation, disaster management is a very important area. So, that is also covered in the themes of health and physical education. Besides, there are other areas like proper gestures while communicating with people, and there are some areas like moral education, food safety, first aid. So, all these areas are actually covered in various textbooks of health and physical education that the students read from the class 1 to class 5. And the teachers of health and physical education, you are quite aware that these books develop the all round abilities of the learners.
Mr. Anindya sir, please discuss the learning outcome of health and physical education curriculum in primary school level.
The learning outcome depends on the various learning areas of that particular subject in the particular class. As for instance, if we want to talk about the learning outcomes of health and physical education for class 1, the main area is to maintain physical balance, adapting the use of toilets, applying proper ways of communicating food, developing basic concepts of road safety and concepts of mathematics through participation in recreational games. In class 2, the main areas of learning outcome, expected learning outcomes, is the child will be able to recognize the national symbols of India, develop the habit of cleanliness by participation in health awareness programs. He will be able to develop physical fitness and mental strength by leading healthy life, use locomotive skills to perform day-to-day activities, perform basic yoga asanas. In class 3, the child will be able to develop good habit for maintaining good health, develop body management skills, participating in various imitative games. He will be able to demonstrate road safety measures through rhymes, drawings and so on, and awareness will be developed regarding the causes and risks of various disasters like flood and fire, and adopt values in life by reading rhymes. In class 4, the learner will be able to develop awareness in anemia, diarrhea, hookworm. So, these diseases which are quite common among the people of West Bengal, that awareness will be developed through class 4 textbook. Then again the child will be able to explain the cause and prevention of malnutrition, explain the need of taking care of sensory organs, develop the basic concepts of Kanyasri and child rights, and also becomes empathetic and cooperative towards that is child with special needs. Then in class 5, the learner will be able to follow instructions to develop readiness. He or she will develop fitness, speed, flexibility and readiness through gymnastics and yogasanas. The learner will be able to develop awareness about Nirmal Vidyalaya, develop awareness in road safety and avoid accidents, develop awareness in child rights and significance on Kanyasri. The learner will be able to apply good habits through playful activities and also develop socialization and joyfulness through exercises on rhymes. These in short are basically the various learning outcomes of health and physical education in different classes.
I would ask Mr. Anindya Sengupta, what are the measures adopted by the School Education Department, Government of West Bengal to help the learner in the pandemic situation?
We all know this health and physical education curriculum and syllabus have been adapted since 2012. Now, for which specific learning outcomes have also been adopted, and that has been just discussed right now. Now, in the last 2 years, that is from March 2020, a pandemic situation has developed not only in West Bengal, but throughout the world, for which all the schools are closed, the children are forced to stay at home, which is not to their liking. But the government has taken various measures, particularly measures like Durabhasha Shiksha, measures like activity tasks, then various video programs, programs on TV. So, various programs are taken, for which the government is trying their best to help the learners in all ways, so that the learners get some kind of resources, some kind of knowledge, and is developed by these various programs. And the result is that every now and then, every month, they have been provided some activities, which we call it activity tasks, which are corrected by the respective teachers of their respective classes. So, these in short are the various programs that are taken by government of West Bengal School Education Department, by West Bengal Primary Education Department, to help the students, particularly in this crisis period of pandemic situation.
Why it is necessary to introduce the bridge material for the primary school level children?
Of course, it is a very important thing to introduce bridge material, because in spite of all these programs that are adopted, it may happen that the child is not able to cope up with the expected learning outcome. Therefore, there must have been some shortages or learning gaps that are occurred. Since the learning gaps are occurred, therefore, it is absolutely important to give some ready material, some kind of activity based learning material to the students, so that the students, by going through those learning materials, their learning gaps are overcome. You know that at every end of every chapter, there is some kind of an activity. That activity also tests how much the child has learned, how much the gap has been reduced or minimized. So, these books on health and physical education, particularly the bridge materials of health and physical education, that help the students to overcome the learning gaps that are created due to pandemic situation. Because after all, the learners are not able to do physical classes. Health and physical education is a subject which deals with two areas. One is the theoretical area, the other is the practical area. Now, certain activities which are physical, that the child has done at home, and there are certain theoretical areas, but still there may be some learning gaps, for which this book will serve the purpose.
What are the basic skills that are developed in health and physical education?
The basic skills that are developed is the ability to cope up in various fields like cultural field, linguistic field, the field to communicate, the field to in the social awareness, soft skills. So, these are the various skills that are developed in health and physical education, for which again the books on health and physical education that are provided to the learners on 2nd January of every year, that actually provide some kind of knowledge to the students. So, the subject not only develops knowledge among the students, but also it actually emphasizes on understanding level and application level of the students, application of the knowledge that has been developed. And that is why again I would emphasize that this particular book, that is the bridge material, will provide adequate scope where the knowledge that has been developed can be applied, can be tested, and thereby it will also help the learning gaps which are to be minimized.
How will the bridge material or Setu Shikhon help the learner?
Yes, the Setu Shikhon or bridge material, that will help the learners in overcoming the learning gaps, because not all learners learn at the same pace and at the same time. Therefore, the bridge material ultimately helps the learners to reach the learning outcome of every class, and they will be promoted to the next class. The teachers have a great role to play, because they will guide the students by the help of this particular textbook, and at the same time by the textbooks on health and physical education to overcome the learning gaps. They will help the students with the activities, check the activities that the students have done, and thereby wherever the learning gaps are there, they will provide adequate measures to help the students overcome their problems.
Will be the bridge material help the learner in self-learning?
Yes, of course, it will help the learners in self-learning, because the bridge materials are developed in such a way that the learner will go through a kind of a process through certain activities, and those activities will help the learners to know and understand, and then also to apply in various activities. So, that again helps the learners to overcome the difficulties, to know the shortcomings and that they are facing while dealing with the subject. So, bridge material is on one hand providing help to the learners to know about the subject, areas that are dealt in the particular book, and at the same time to assess their learning areas and thereby to help them to overcome the learning gaps.
How will the teacher of health and physical education use the book Setu Shikhon?
Yes, the teachers, as I said, they have a huge role to play, because the teachers will adapt the book and provide adequate support to the students wherever the students are facing any difficulty. So, in that way, wherever there is a learning gap, the teachers are there to provide those helps to the students, so that the knowledge area is developed in the learners, the understanding level of the learners has been raised, and therefore, the students will be able to apply their knowledge in activities. So, in all these cases, the teachers of the subject have a huge role to play in this particular bridge material.
Aim of universal education, universal enrollment, universal retention and quality management. The component of quality physical education, quality learner, quality learning environment, quality learning content, quality process, quality learning outcome and quality teacher. How we can develop health and physical education in a school level curriculum, and what is your suggestion for development of physical education?
As you just mentioned that various components of quality in health and physical education. So, in that respect, various activities, physical activities, theoretical activities, various games, language games and physical games and games and sports, all these in short will develop the linguistic abilities, the communicative abilities, the social abilities, the cultural abilities of the learners. So, in all these various activities, there will be all round development of the learner. That in short will help the learners to achieve certain goals of learning. This in short is the main objective and goals of learning. Before we wind up, I should actually point out that health and physical education is a subject that covers all the three domains of learning as pointed out by Dr. Bloom. And the main, as we know, the main three domains are cognitive development, affective development and psychomotor development. And health and physical education actually rather covers all these three developments of learning. And that is why this is a very important subject for which both the theoretical knowledge of the subject as well as the practical knowledge of the subject is required. Here is a subject that focuses just not on physical fitness, physical development, but also on the emotional development, the psychological development, the cognitive development, linguistic development of the learner. That in short is basically the main aims and objectives of health and physical education. And by introducing this particular book, that is the bridge material or Setu Shikhan, wherever there is the learning gap that are created, this particular book we hope will help the students to overcome their learning gaps. Here we want to say that that is the main focus areas, and we wind up our discussion out here. Thanking you